It is President's Day. For those people that are looking at a calendar, you'll notice that we have Robert Warren joining us from Hoyt Sherman Place as we discuss things President-y today. And talking about one in particular, you hear the name Hoyt Sherman a lot. And you're saying, who is this Hoyt Sherman guy? Well, we're going to learn about him.
Oh, here, I'll show you.
Okay, there he is.
There he is.
That's the Hoyt Sherman guy. Okay, that's our segment. That's it.
Dun, da-da-da.
His 1875 etched portrait. But
a handsome guy.
He is a handsome guy.
Looking.
Yeah.
So they were the 1850s version of the Kennedys. The father had seven sons from Ohio and strategically sent them out to conquer parts of the country.
Really?
Hoyt was sent to Fort Des Moines. There was 127 residents when he arrived. He built the post office, and ironic tie-in, his first presidential appointment was Zachary Taylor, who appointed him as postmaster.
Okay.
So he served that way, and then the elections happened, and a few years later he was hired by President Lincoln to be the paymaster for the Union War.
Okay.
Left his new bride and went off to help fight the war. And of course his brother, William Tecumseh Sherman,
Who looks just like him.
looks just like him,
bit of a reputation.
Another handsome man.
was the gentleman who ended the war and
Seriously?
helped.
What do you mean ended the war?
He was the general in charge, put in charge by President Lincoln in 1865, and his surge helped take Atlanta and the surrender of the Civil War 9 days after the assassination of President Lincoln.
They're still mad at him in the South.
I know. I have
Very
friends
much.
from Atlanta, and when I said Hoyt Sherman, they were like, you know, that name has a different connotation in the South.
Really?
It's like 150 years later.
Come on, get
It's
over
still,
it.
yeah.
But it's amazing. I think, as we said earlier, we go to Hoyt Sherman, enjoy a beautiful space, but we don't always know the connection and what it
Yeah,
had with the president and Civil War and everything with it.
And there's still, this is one of the artifacts. It's
Yeah, what did you bring in with you today?
Yeah,
Civil
this is
War.
pretty cool.
150 years old. You can see the eagle emblem.
Yeah, we'll
Here,
hold it up so
I'm
they
gonna
can,
say,
the
hold it
camera
up.
can see it here.
Careful there. So this is a flag?
It's one of the regimental flags. We also have in the
Who's going to shoot it?
collection
Which way are we
There
going?
you go, right there. That's perfect.
hand-sewn American flags with 44 stars, because at the time of the Civil War there were just 44 states.
There's the eagle. There's the
Nice.
eagle head. There
Yeah,
you go. Good job,
isn't that
Tom.
amazing?
Now, what would this have been used for?
I believe that this was, because each regiment, he was in charge of paying all the soldiers. This was probably some connection to the paymaster of the war.
So people knew, if I'm going to get paid, this,
Yeah,
this
you
is the
knew
guy
which
I
flag
need
to
to
go to.
see.
Look at the little strands that are all over
Yep,
this.
this is the silk that's fraying, and I think the eagle talons and everything is pretty amazing.
I was going to say, it's amazing how well this is
Yeah.
Stayed
stayed
together.
together for 150 years.
I did a lot of reading about him last week, and I knew that he was a prominent figure here, but I didn't realize how much he helped build the city.
Yeah,
and the
even
state,
before
really.
he built Hoyt Sherman Place, he rode back on horse to Ohio, married his sweetheart on Christmas Day, came back, did the whole war thing, then built the waterworks, built the post office, built the first bank, built the first three-story building in Des Moines, built the schools, everything.
A busy guy.
Then he built the mansion.
Really?
And he didn't give up after that because he was such a philanthropist. He convinced the Sisters of Mercy to come to Des Moines and build a hospital, and the agreement was he would vacate the mansion. So they used Hoyt Sherman Place for 2 years, and it was a 150-bed hospital. It was the first hospital in Des Moines, and then the first art gallery. So yeah,
I had no idea.
it's an amazing history.
Why isn't this city named Sherman or
Right.
Hoyt or something?
Well, it's Sherman Hill. You know,
Yeah,
he
that's-
did get that. And when he died, he gifted the house and the 5 acres to the city of Des Moines, and they kept it for a year and turned it over to the Women's Club, who needed a
Right.
place to meet. So the Women's Club raised the money to build the gallery, because General Sherman's friend, Major Byers, had a collection of art. He gifted it. So they got the house with the caveat that they would build the gallery on the right side. And they did that, and then they raised $1 million to build the theater in 1912, and the day they signed the contract, World War I broke out.
Wow.
So it waited 9 years for that war to end before they could come and build it. So the theater actually opened in 1923.
Wow. And speaking of artwork, for those people that haven't paid attention walking into Hoyt Sherman Place, there are some pretty impressive pieces of art.
Yeah, yeah, and all of that also, it's Civil War era, so it's 150-year-old pieces, but we just finished a restoration. So all of them, years of soot and coal in a house, they got very tarnished, but we had a curator, a retired curator from the Chicago Museum that did all the work gratis just for materials. So we, one by one, the 73 paintings are all going to Chicago and being restored. And the before and after is amazing. And some of them, even over time, there's a beautiful one from the late 1800s, two girls skipping down a lane. And somebody, 40 years after it was painted, decided it needed trees in the background.
No way.
So they painted these trees, and when the guy was cleaning it, he's like, well, it's actually better with this off, but what do you want us to do? So we said, restore it to the way that it was originally meant to be. So took the trees off, and it totally changes the context of what these, two girls skipping at night down a sidewalk.
Is there any way of seeing the before and after?
Yes.
If you head over
we
to
have
Hoyt
some
Sherman?
of the before and afters there at the theater. So,
are there any? That's one incredible piece. You go over there and you have a great thing once you walk around that mansion. It's absolutely incredible. But are there certain pieces, if people do head over, it's like you need to go see this?
Yeah,
it's pretty special.
front and center is the caravan. That's one of the most valued pieces, and it's huge. It's 12 feet tall and I think 20 feet wide. It's called Loading the Caravan, and it's by Meeks, so very famous. And they only sold one of the prints, and it was a Frederick Church, who was a Hudson River, very famous, lots of paintings in every national gallery. And when they decided to form a foundation to keep the building going, they took it to New York, and we're hoping to sell it for $1 million to create an endowment, and it sold for $4.2 million, and Bill Gates was the buyer.
Oh, really?
Yep. So he's got his name on that painting, probably in a gallery. He doesn't keep most of them in a private collection, but it's just amazing. And the Women's Club, which I'm now a member, they don't discriminate for people with boy parts.
It's a whole other show.
I am a member.
All of a sudden.
But they still meet there every Wednesday, and they are the protectors of the building and the art, even though there's a foundation now that runs the day-to-day. And they are so proud of it, and they should be. They built the gallery, they built the theater, and they maintained the house for 120 years.
Now, what if somebody wants to come over and take a look around, see what you have? What does it cost to come in there?
Nothing. It's free of charge.
Say that again. Say that,
nothing. It's free of charge.
People don't understand that.
Yeah. Monday through Friday. Again, the volunteers from the Women's Club work the desk in the gallery, and they tell you, they're so knowledgeable about the paintings, but it's the behind the scenes stories, some of them that have been there for 50 years, the little anecdotes. There it is, Hoyt Sherman.
There you go, hoytsherman.org for more details and all the great things that are happening there. We talk about them quite a bit here on our program, but you forget about the special little fun things with the art pieces and the history that's involved with that place as well.
In the collection, one of the generals had an interest in Roman artifacts. So we have an urn with ashes of a Roman soldier from 450 BC.
Oh my goodness.
That's how far back it goes, and some things that they excavated from the ruins. So
now, are things like this on display somewhere,
this is
or
not
these
yet.
are in a special?
We're working with the Historical
location?
Society. They're bringing in a fabric expert to tell us, because there's one American flag that hung, I believe, at the White House with the hand-sewn stars, and it's just amazing, but it's so big. We've got to figure out how to display it.
Well, and I imagine you can't just nail it to the wall either.
No, and hanging it on the flagpole out front would probably be a bad thing.
And speaking of fun things going on, don't forget Hoyt Sherman, a lot of really fun events coming up. Ralphie May's coming up here real soon. Graham Nash is coming up, which is amazing.
Dwight Yoakam in 10 days.
Yeah.
Right before the release of his new album, which is phenomenal.
It's such a beautiful place to watch anything, too.
So there you have it, folks. A lot of things going on at Hoyt Sherman. Now, people want to get more information about activities there. Where do they go?
HoytSherman.org.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing some history this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy President's Day.
Happy.